So today on the show, I'm so excited. We have Carolyn Maxwell-Baker joining us, and she's here to tell us an incredible story. Before I introduce her, I just want to talk to you again about what else but my outfit of the day. Our show sponsor, Brenda Badome, is an amazing Canadian designer. She designs the most comfortable, beautiful clothing. I am wearing one of her tops today, and if you look on my social media, you'll see the pants that I have on. They're really nice. They're like a denim trouser with a seam down the center. Oh my gosh, they look so good on. So you'll have to check those out. Now, the great thing about Brenda is for all of us viewers, she is offering a coupon code, Get to Know Them, which gives us all 22% off of our order, which is so generous. So make sure you go to brendabadome.com, and Badome is with two D's, and you check out her beautiful line of clothing and treat yourself. So speaking of treating yourself, today is Giving Tuesday for any of you who follow that hashtag on social media. And this is a day where a lot of small businesses highlight pieces that they create or make or services they offer where they give back. So for us, of course, here at the Glam Jewels studio, we have created our Three Little Wishes bracelets, and they are $35 each, and the proceeds from these bracelets go towards helping a family suffering from the financial burdens of cancer. They are $35. Grab yourself some, gift them to everyone you know over Christmas. They are the perfect gift, and they give back, which is wonderful. And then, of course, if you need to shop for other jewels for yourself, get on glamjewels.com and grab yourself some matching accessories that you're, of course, going to need for your Brenda Badome wardrobe. So thanks so much for checking out our sponsors. I am excited to introduce our guest, and I'm going to do that right this minute. I would like you all to meet in one moment Carolyn Maxwell-Baker. Carolyn is a retired nurse and a lifetime caregiver to her daughter, Rachael. 5 years ago, Carolyn received a phone call she never imagined. Her daughter had been in a terrible accident. Dear Rachael was taken to Sunnybrook Hospital. She had suffered severe trauma to her brain. Carolyn will be sharing her story with us and walking us through what it is like to have a child with a brain injury. Today, Carolyn is a huge advocate for brain injury, organizing and spearheading fundraisers to help brain injury research and for Extendicare Nursing Home where her daughter resides. I'm really looking forward to this conversation with Carolyn. She is a strong, loving, wonderful mom. I've got all my questions here, and I'm bringing her on right now.
Hey. Hello,
Carolyn,
Monica. How are you?
I'm
Hi.
so happy to see you. This
Long
is
time no
so great.
see.
I know, long time no see. So we have to share with the audience quickly what transpired yesterday. You
Absolutely.
were in Brampton with your daughter
Mhm.
at the Extendicare facility, and you were organizing this wonderful little Christmas market to raise money for brain cancer research as well as for the Extendicare home.
Right, right.
And my good old friend that I had on last week, Steve Eggers, and I decided to get in the car and drive up and see you. And none of us had seen each other since high school days
High school.
because,
Oh, absolutely. And you
and
guys look absolutely gorgeous. Both of you, Steve's so handsome. You're gorgeous. I'm like, wow. And I guess
no,
by the
but
reaction I had, I was
yeah.
screaming like a banshee when I saw you. So
Okay. If I could go back and record that welcome that you gave us, it was so perfect because you weren't there right away. And we were like, has anyone seen Carolyn? And all of a
yeah.
sudden, there you come down the hall and you are like, and then the hugs were like, you
Yeah.
give the
Well, I
best
jumped
hugs
into your
ever.
arms. Yeah.
You
So
did, like,
hopefully
you
I didn't break
literally
your back.
jumped.
Yeah. Did I break your
No,
back?
if you did, it was worth it.
Oh.
So thank you so much, Carolyn. You made us feel so good, and we loved visiting with you
Well,
yesterday. It was
thank you
so
for the
special.
surprise. Thank you for the surprise.
No problem. No problem. So, Carolyn, we have so much to cover today, but I do want to start with the first question I ask all of my guests, and that is, what did little Carolyn want to be when she grew up?
Oh, this is so boring, but little Carolyn wanted to be a nurse.
That's good. So do you remember how old you were, Carolyn, when you
Um,
decided that that's what you wanted to be?
Probably about 5 years old. And
Wow.
I was going to talk about my son. My
Yeah.
son always said he wanted to be a taxi driver when he grew up. So that continued all through his childhood, all through his adulthood. So I was a little bit concerned, but you try to,
Interesting.
court your son. Yeah.
Yeah. And what does your son do now?
He's a computer engineer with IBM.
Amazing.
Hmm.
So, yeah, that's quite the departure from taxi driver.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, well, maybe he'll have lots of kids one day and he will be a taxi driver to them.
Sure,
You
absolutely.
never know. Oh, Carolyn. So, Carolyn, I wanted to, if it's okay with you, I find it's always great to kind of start at the beginning.
Sure.
And if you can talk to us a little bit about your childhood growing up, there were a couple of things that you brought up yesterday to Steve and I that really, really inspired us.
Mhm.
And I wanted to talk to you about those things. So, first of all, you lost your dad at a young age, correct?
Yes. Yeah. He died of cancer
Yeah.
when I was a wee girl. So yes. And
Wow.
and then my
Yeah.
mom drank herself to death. So I think growing up in Oakville, or maybe it's our generation, we didn't talk about that.
Hmm.
It brought a lot of shame, and a lot of my peeps didn't know until I met up with you guys later. I guess I didn't want to wear the scarlet letter. You know what I mean? Like, and
Right.
we were really judged back then on where we came from, and and it was shame. Like I said, to me, it was shame,
Yeah.
even though I didn't really realize that it's my mother's shame or my family's shame. It's not me, but it took a while to, detach myself from that. I'm sure if I grew
Yeah.
up in Hamilton, it would have been fine. I probably would have fit in more. But Oakville,
Yes.
uh-uh.
Well, yeah, Oakville was like that, and yeah, there was a lot of, the keeping up with the Joneses, and it was all about appearances. And also, our parents didn't know how to process grief. Like even the thought
Exactly.
of going to a counselor or going for therapy, it was like something's wrong with that person. And you think about, in the 70s, I mean, women were
Yeah.
taking Valium a lot of
Oh yeah.
times, like it
Mother's little
was.
helper. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So that must have been quite something for you because you were 7 years old when your dad passed?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's funny how people like saw me back then. I always had the sunny
Hmm.
disposition and nobody really knew, but
Yeah.
I didn't want the sympathy, and I didn't want I didn't want to play the victim. I wanted just support. So, and
Right.
I kept my mouth shut about a lot of stuff. Yeah. So.
Right. So the other thing that you had mentioned, Carolyn, was that when all of us were getting ready to leave high school, do college, university, work full
Mhm.
time, whatever it was, you were you were actually an orphan. You
I
lost
was
your
looking
mom at
after my dying
17.
mother when you guys were off, going to university and college. I
Yeah.
looked after her the best, a 17, year old could. Like, I would,
Yeah.
obviously I would have looked after her better if I, now, because I have the skills, but as 17-year-old, as best as I could. And then
Right.
like, yeah, yeah. So
Wow. And then during that time with your mom, Carolyn, was that a time for you where the nursing thing was really resonating? Like this, what did it
I
feel
think
like a
so.
calling?
I think that's where the little
Yeah.
seed, when the seed starts to be planted and sprout, I
Yeah.
think that's where we got it from. Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
because there's so many different parts of nursing, which is not really seen or practiced. So we have, the mental, the physical, the social, the spiritual, the
Mhm.
intelligent, the environment. And then we have to balance everything, balance in harmony. So I'm an old style nurse, so I practiced all those things. But today,
Yeah.
everybody's so burnt out, and they just have enough time for the basics. So that's why I
Yeah.
stay with my daughter every day. Yeah.
Yes. So when you're after your mom passed away, what how long was it until you pursued nursing? Like, how did that all come about for
Um,
you?
well, I got really depressed and I moved to Hamilton because I couldn't afford to live in Oakville, and
Hmm.
really spinning out, like really spinning my tires, not having that support. I did have family, but they were all busy with their own, their own stuff. And then, your peers really don't get what you're going through. They can't relate. They can't support. You know what I mean?
Right.
I first went into business first, and then after that, I got my PSW, and that was the back-breaking work. So I knew I wouldn't be able to sustain that long. I remember putting on stockings. I'm like 21 maybe, and I'm putting on pressure stockings on this woman, and I think it was McMaster Hospital, and the sweat that was dripping off my back by getting these pressure stockings on this woman gave me the first clue that Carolyn, you better go back to school and get a better education because you're not going to be able to do this for long term.
Really?
Yeah, I think that
Oh,
was my first rude awakening, where you cannot make a living out of being a PSW. It's going to be short lived because it's back breaking work. It is.
yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So where did you go to school for nursing, Carolyn?
Mohawk in Hamilton.
Mohawk.
Mhm.
Okay, great.
I tried, like, I
S-
went to night school for psychology. Like, I was thinking about being a social worker, and at the time I was dating these police officers, which helped me with Rachael because people remember me from way back. But anyhow, that's another story.
Yeah.
I really wanted, my passion was kind of social working, but those guys talked me out of it, saying that, you'll get destroyed and burnt out within the year, because I was
Mhm.
very naive, and I believe everybody. So yeah, so they kind of pointed me in that direction.
Wow. Isn't it funny, Carolyn, how the older we get, you know how people say you live like all these different lifetimes in one life? And just,
Hmm.
going back now to those years, like where you're 21 years old and you're putting those pressure stockings on that patient, your
I know.
back is sweating, and, you think, who was that girl? Like, who was that
Well,
young
I was a
woman,
lot
right?
tinier
You're,
back then. Sorry to overtalk you. I was a lot
that's
tinier back
okay.
then, and I don't sweat. So the fact that I was
Yeah.
sweating, my hair goes poof when it's like. So I had these mop top hair and a back full of sweat, and I'm like, Carolyn, this is not going to be your career. You better go
Yeah.
up a notch. Yeah.
Wow.
And back then it
Um,
was easier because you could just bridge line it. If you had your biology, it was back in
yeah.
the dinosaur ages. So, schooling was a little different. So,
Right, yeah. So how old were you once you were a registered nurse and practicing?
oh, but I think,
Yeah.
well, back then, because I had my PSW, I had a lot of the social work. I think I was about 23, 24. Like,
Okay.
going that back, it's like timelines. I might be a little bit off, but yeah.
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 So I have to ask you, Carolyn, during that time of nursing and meeting people from all walks of life and seeing
Mhm.
people in all these different situations, did that help to heal some of the shame that you had grown up with? Like just seeing
I
how did that help you to heal, seeing those?
I don't think so. I remember
No.
working on 2 North in Oakville, so that's the psychiatric ward. And
Hmm.
my mom lived there quite a bit because we put her in there to dry out. So I remember, and some of the nurses remembered my mother. So I was like, you think the
Right.
apple doesn't fall too far the tree. I was scared I was going to get judged. But what I noticed at the time, and this is really sad, that there was a lot of children in mental health. It switched where a lot of, yeah. So that was heartbreaking. I wasn't ready to, I had to leave because I didn't think I'd be a good enough nurse to them. So, and I always said to
Wow.
myself, once I get burnt out and I don't care anymore, it's time to leave the nursing, because it's a calling.
Mhm.
It's not for the money. So
Yeah.
what I saw in there was heartbreaking, and it was a lot of children. So,
Mhm.
mhm.
Amazing. Wow. So, Carolyn, we want to talk so much about Rachel, and I think
Yeah,
the best place to start is the day that you received the phone call. Can you take us back to that day and what happened with
absolutely. So
Rachel? Yeah.
yeah. So I was just getting off of work, and I'm like putting on my my pajamas, airing everything out, and the phone rings, and it's the Peel Police, and they said she was in an accident. And being the person I'm in, I'm like, just leave her where she is. I'm 5 minutes away, and don't touch her. I will assess her. So I'm getting dressed. I'm running the car. The phone rings again, and it's like, we're taking her to Sunnybrook. And I'm like, as soon as I heard Sunnybrook, I'm like, oh my God, like, what are we dealing
Mhm.
with? I jumped in my car, and I actually beat the ambulance. I tore past the ambulance. But I didn't realize they pulled off on the side of the road to incubate her and put a tube in. So, yeah. So
Wow.
that was yeah. And the thing is, like, I would like to be like, I would like to be, when I'm healed and whole and everything, I would like to be an advocate for somebody that is going through that, because you are so blindsided and you don't know
Mhm.
what's happening. And because it was a criminal investigation, I couldn't see Rachel until it was done, and that was unbelievable, like a blow. It was just heartbreaking that I can see my baby, knowing that she's been hurt and she was guarded by police. Now I asked,
Horrible.
it's like, yeah, it was like, and they put us in this room to pray, and I'm like, no, I need to know what's going on with my baby. But because it was a criminal investigation, she was guarded, and I had no idea.
Carolyn, can you tell us how old Rachel was at the time and what happened exactly?
Rachel was 17 years old, and she was always a very, she was just coming into her own. She was always a very shy girl, but she would like look after the underdog. If somebody, like, if she saw the underdog getting picked on, she would always go for the underdog and support them. So she got a new boyfriend, and even though she was scared of heights, they encouraged her to go down the hill on her bicycle.
Okay.
Okay.
Wow.
It's two
Yeah.
pieces. It's about 5 minutes away from here. Um,
Hmm.
and then I want to give a big shout out, and I asked permission to mention him, but I have a friend that's a police officer in Peel. And as soon as he found out that it was my baby, he booked off, him and his partner booked off Peel and came right down to Sunnybrook to make sure that I was treated well, because she was under guard. I couldn't, I, they wouldn't let me see
Yeah.
anything. So kudos to Wade Neal. Thank you very much. I asked him if it was okay
Oh.
if I brought him up to this podcast, but him walking through the doors was like my first angel. Like, I'm like, I hadn't seen him in so long, and he walked through the door, and it was like, where did you come from? It was like seeing an angel. It was like,
Oh.
just, yeah, yeah. And he's like,
ma-
he checked to make sure Rachel was okay. He checked to make sure that Rachel was looked after, and that I was getting good
Mhm.
service. So
Oh, good. So, Carolyn, how long was it until you could see Rachel?
I'm gonna have to plug this
How?
in. It was, oh, you know what? I don't really, like, I can't really tell you, because I was like in this, in this fog.
Mhm. Yeah.
I don't know if it was an hour. I saw her on a stretcher being rushed in, and then, all the things
Mhm.
that had to be done to her, I had to like sign off. Even with medical knowledge, it's your child. It was like, I'm not, I did geriatric care, and then I did babies. So I didn't have any real education on,
Right.
yeah, brain injury.
Wow. So tell us about that. So this has been 5 years now.
Yeah.
You've been through a lot, including COVID.
Oh, COVID. Oh my gosh. So what happened is we
So,
got kicked out of the hospital and into nursing home. And then I got locked out. Even though COVID hit, I had such a rapport with the hospital and the people, that the CEO that run the hospital, that they let me in to see Rachel when they blocked everybody else out, because they saw that I was there 12 hours a day, everything.
mhm.
So
and
because I
and that
didn't
you
know,
I was
yeah,
sorry, I was just going to say, and that you
yeah.
knew the profession like you were like another one of them, right? And
Oh yeah. Well,
are you talking about Sunnybrook Hospital?
Sunnybrook Hospital was absolutely,
Yeah.
I'll give them 100% for um, critical care and ICU.
Yeah.
I don't know when I first got there. By the way I was handling what was going on, they pegged me as medical, so I got a lot of respect and support, and we worked as a team. So,
Mhm.
but then when once we dropped down to regular, I didn't get that respect. I don't think. It was a rude awakening to see how nurses act, because I'm used to being
Mhm.
on the other side, not a patient.
Yeah. So when you say when you drop down to regular, are you talking about leaving Sunnybrook and going to the extended care facility? Or,
General medicine in the hospital.
oh, okay. I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I didn't get that respect, and I was so used to like working with the doctors, and we would, huddle and together they put me on part of the team. So like when I wanted her
Mhm.
off of fentanyl, or if I wanted to reduce the Keppra, they took that, and we worked together. But then once we got into, I didn't have much of a say or respect.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Yeah.
So, in terms of Rachel's abilities and her limitations today, what has that been like, Carolyn? Sort of from the time of accident until now.
Well, it's
What are the,
it's it's been a long journey. Like I try to tell
Mhm.
everybody, this is like it's a marathon. So she can, we went from the nurses saying, why are you sitting here, to pull the plug, and that was difficult to say. I didn't really realize what people were saying to me, because you're in a trauma fog, until I
Mm,
read what my friends were asking questions, and I was answering my friends, and then I went back
right.
and read it. You know what I mean? And I'm like, they were telling me she's not going to have a good quality of life. Why are you here 24/7? They were even saying to pull the plug. And I'm like, absolutely not. Absolutely
Right.
not. You know? Mm.
Wow. And tell us, have there been people along the way who have supported Rachel, in her well-being and her quality of life that have, kind of blown your mind in terms of what they've been able to give her?
What do you mean by
In,
give her? Like, can you elaborate?
or I guess just like, in terms of like making her quality of life as good as it can possibly be, um, doing like little exercises with her, like
Okay, well, my
sort
friend
of, yeah,
Barb jumped into this
yeah.
journey 4 years ago. I have no past relationships with Barb. She was a friend of a friend, and she comes and paints with Rachel. This woman's an absolute angel. When I'm in her presence, it makes me feel like a better person. I want to be a Barb. She is so lovely. Nothing affects her. She's like an angel from earth. I don't know, I must have done something well to get Barb in my life. And when she's in my presence, I want to be better, you know?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was Barb there yesterday bringing you coffee?
Oh no,
Or
that
that's
was my
another
friend
angel?
Leah. So Leah, I
Okay.
met when I was in the hospital. I met
Yeah.
Leah, and we've been friends since, because she saw me every day at the hospital with Rach. So yeah, that's another
Wow.
friend. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Carolyn, I think it's so great how you're describing all of these key people as angels
Hmm.
in your life. And, for all of what you're going through, I know this is about Rachel, but I can
Hmm.
imagine the trauma on you as a mom, and to have that positivity where you see the good in people and you see how people are there to support you and help you and you're so grateful. I mean, it could easily have gone in a different direction where you just threw up your hands and gave up, right?
Well,
I mean,
talking about that, there's been a lot of people that said, well, what are you doing with your life? Why are you throwing your life away? And I'm like, that hurts. That hurts when somebody says that. And I think, do we wear shoes that hurt? We put on our shoes and they hurt. What do we do with them? We get rid of them. So, if
yeah.
it doesn't serve me, if you're not positive, I can't have you in my life. It's too much of a delicate situation.
Mhm.
for my mental health to have somebody saying those things. So
Yeah, yeah. That's great. That's yeah. So along the way, I guess you've met other parents with children with brain injuries, and you were saying that these parents really need support, and that's something that you want to start to advocate for is support for the parents. Do you want to talk to us a
absolutely.
little bit about that? Yeah.
Absolutely. The parents, nobody thinks of the parents. It is a long journey. And there's so many different people, like, we're all different individuals. Some people drop their kid off and never come back. There's people, marriages break up. There's some people that like everything, like they're like me, and Rachel's everything. You'll do anything to make her happy. So
Mhm.
in March, I want to do another fundraiser for something nice for the parents so they can take a break and, maybe have take themselves to the movies or, go to the spa. So that will be my next fundraiser because really we're like, you know, cancer and is up here. Brain injury research is down here. I don't think we get enough acknowledgement. We're a
Mhm.
very small, little group of people, so I want to like take. I want to change that. People have to be
Yeah,
aware what we're going through. Yeah.
that's great. So, as things sort of move along, like I know it's been 5 years now,
Mhm.
does Rachel get assessments as to where she's at? Like as brain research, as more money goes into that research, is she ever assessed again back at Sunnybrook to see what's happening, if there's been any change in the brain, or is
Not
that
really, mostly me. With like I do have, we're still in contact with a brain surgeon, a real
Mhm,
stand-up man, Dr. DaCosta. He's always available to me. He's like one of the best at Sunnybrook. Um, you know, we'll see what happens in the future because right now I don't think there's really anything, but just to show her that
mhm.
she's loved, she's not forgotten. I wanted to get, you
Yeah,
know, yeah, she's
yeah,
sitting in a nursing home. Yeah. I think,
yeah.
the power of love is unbelievable. Right.
Right. So,
Mhm.
Carolyn, when people come to visit Rachel and they want
Mhm.
to interact with her, or what's your recommendation on how to sort of be with her?
Open-ended questions because she winks for yes and she flares her nose for no and she raises her eyebrows for maybe. So yeah,
Great.
my main focus is to make sure, her quality of life, and the
Yeah.
fact that she's in a nursing home is like, there's no other place for her because, and me being a nurse, it's heartbreaking, but I know my limitations. I know what's
Mhm.
out there for help. And yeah, like if I brought her, she needs 24-hour care. If I brought her home, I get 3 hours of nursing. Good luck to see if they show up because of all the cutbacks. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
She's almost 6 foot. You saw how short I was
Yeah.
yesterday. I'm like, beside me too, I felt like a midget. You know what I mean? But it's
Yeah.
just, we have to get real. Like I just wanted to take her home, but it had to be a reality check that I really can't do it. And because she
Yeah.
only really has me, I have to make sure I'm mentally,
Of
sometimes I'm
course.
depressed and I put myself in a cold shower just to, get myself out of it. I've been on
Yeah.
medication, off and on off, all medication. I'm scared of the side effects. So
Mhm. Yeah, good for you, Carolyn. And it's so nice there. Like we loved that visit, and we were saying when we left, like the room was so cozy and it's so Rachel. Like you've really made that room her special room, and the
absolutely.
people there were great. And like you said, it goes back to that saying about putting the oxygen mask on yourself first and then helping others. You're a stronger, better mom for taking care of yourself as well in this. And that's, obviously Rachel wants that too. So,
Absolutely. It's been a
yeah,
long journey to realize that I have to put myself first.
yeah.
Because you think, like the brownie little saying, This is what we do as elves. Think of others, not ourselves. Like that's ingrained in my brain from my brownie days, you know? So it's,
Wow.
yeah, you got to
I mean,
change
well,
your brain.
yeah, you sure live by that. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
it's such a good lesson. So, the other thing I wanted to ask you about was how did you get Doug Ford to meet your daughter?
Well, this is a very interesting story. So I first
Yeah,
reached out to Doug and I wrote him. Okay, I wrote him this long story saying I needed support, and his assistant wrote back to me or called me, and I said, I need Doug in here. I need his support. I'm not looking for money. I'm not looking for any funding. I'm not looking like, you know what I mean? I just need him
yeah,
in his presence. That's it. That's it. And and I guess because so many people bug the man for money, funding, I think that's
yeah.
why I probably stuck out a little bit above everybody else because I wasn't looking for anything, just his presence. So she goes, I'll have him call. Like he calls 5 people in the week, and he called me, and we had such a great rapport from the minute I picked up the phone. And he's like, you know what, Carolyn? I said, look, Doug, come visit me, but if you can't visit me, send your well wishes. And he goes, I'm going to come see you next week on Tuesday. So I'm like, wow. And the man, another thing, Dad, the man went to 2 other hospitals before. I guess his assistant gave him the wrong address. So the man went to 2 other hospitals before coming to my place. So he could have easily given up and said, I can't find it, forget it. But he didn't. He still, made appearance.
Oh, great. And how was
Yeah.
that? What was that day like?
I didn't want to like I say, the first time I met him, I didn't want to make it a political. I didn't want to ask him for anything, you know what I mean? And I
Hmm.
was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this man that runs Ontario visiting my Rachael, and he's not even doing it for publicity. He
Yeah.
nothing. It was for him. I remember him. They his head of security said, the premier of Ontario is here to see you, and I'm like, can I go see him? And I just ran down the hall and jumped in his arms, like you guys. I gave him the absolutely the same treatment you guys got. You know what I mean? So
Oh,
you could imagine. And I didn't know what
yeah,
to do with him. I just hugged him and kissed him. I'm like, thank
great.
gosh you're here. Because we
Yeah.
need all the help we can muster up. And he's been a great support. I do have his personal number. He's always in contact with me, no matter what I say to him. If I'm pissed off and I ramble, he
Yeah.
still gets back to me. So he's been a great
Wow.
support. So kudos
Well,
to
that
Doug
says a
Ford.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that says a lot that he's kept in touch since that meeting, that's great. And so there's also been a couple of other politicians, one Canadian, one American you have to tell us about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So George Bush Jr. He was on Sunday. What did we say it was? That Sunday. I had it written down.
Oh,
Anyhow, there's a Sunday
was it
program.
Sunday morning?
Is it?
Was it
It's
called?
it's Sunday morning. So I'm a
Yeah,
Rachel. I love that show, and I still watch 60 Minutes. I've watched 60 Minutes since I was a kid. I
yeah.
actually get excited Sunday nights about 60 Minutes, but that's another story. So I watched Sunday morning, and Doug Ford, Bush Jr. was painting portraits of people. So
Ah,
I wrote in, and I asked if he would do a portrait of Rachael and I, and they got back to me saying their agenda was Black Lives Matters, and I didn't fit their agenda. So I wrote
okay.
back saying, hey, can you please at least send your well wishes to my daughter? And they did, and like I say to my son, nobody owes us anything in life. You know what I mean?
Mhm,
And I'm not American. I can't
mhm,
vote for your party, and etc.
mhm.
So yeah,
Great. Wow.
yeah,
And then our prime minister.
absolutely. Reached out to him.
Yeah.
I said, you're a handsome man. My daughter looks, she needs to look at somebody handsome while she's in her hospital bed. And they sent
Oh,
a portrait of him with best wishes. So
great.
very fortunate there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good, Carol. I love how you made those things happen, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's pretty great.
It's all in the angle,
Mm.
I think. If you reach out and it's really you're not looking for money or support or funding, I think you get
Mhm.
a little bit. You're a little bit different from the crowd, so they will
Yeah.
get back to
Yeah,
you.
it's
Yeah,
true because the pressure's off and it also
yeah,
allows that person to come into your world, assess what's going on, and then how wonderful if they are able to offer something to you without you asking for it, right? I mean, you know, that can
exactly,
happen
exactly.
too. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah,
great.
yeah. Because I
Wow.
always
So,
wonder why, how. Because my friends are going, I've reached out so many times and we don't get response, and I'm like, well, probably because you're asking for something, like I
mhm.
didn't ask for anything. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So, Carolyn, would you be able to sort of take us through your day, what your typical day looks like?
My typical day is I get up and I do meditation, so I get into the right mind frame for my daughter because she deserves mama the best. So I try to get into, a happy. I am very happy by nature, but sometimes I want to stay in bed, so I will do a mindful meditation. If I can't shock myself out of feeling good, I will have a cold shower.
God,
Yeah, like
you're
shock
brave.
it out
Even
of
in the
you.
winter,
Yeah, yeah,
even in
yeah.
the winter, even in the winter,
Well,
you'll
you
do
know
the
what?
cold shower.
If I wake up feeling blue, I gotta shock it out of me. You know what I mean? And I find,
Yeah.
I have been on medication, and I find that when I'm on medication, I'm not me, and I don't. I see the world with rose-colored glasses, and I don't see
Mhm.
a lot of stuff that's really going on. So that's why I'm medication free. So it's those
Okay.
cold showers.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
cold showers. That's your medication. Wow.
yeah.
So
I'll
after the
shock
cold
myself into
shower,
feeling good. Yeah.
yeah. So after the cold shower, what's next? What's next
Okay,
in
so
your
that's
day?
that's only if I'm not in a good. That's only if I'm not in a
Okay.
good mood. If I'm blue, that's I shock myself out of it. So I get
Yeah.
up and I meditate. And I get in a good place and happy thoughts. And if anything's bothering me, I say, you don't rent space in my head. You have to get out. Another thing is, I'm a big follower of rain dryers. So he always says, if somebody upsets you, like if you were bit by a snake, it's not the snake bite that gets you, it's the venom. So we have to
Mm,
work on that. If somebody upsets you, we got to get that out of your head. You got to let it go. So I do a lot of that. I do some stretching and exercises. I got to get on top of that a little bit more. So basically, I just been working on my spiritual and mental. I'm trying to get my body working too. And then I head to
great.
Rachel's. I have breakfast. I head to Rachel. A lot of times she's in bed, so I do all her care, and she loves it. Like she's always smiling at me. I get paid with smiles.
Oh, wonderful. How great is
Yeah,
that?
I try
Oh
to back
man.
off from her care, but I do assess everything. So yeah,
Yeah.
and then like I say, there's so many aspects of being a caregiver. We got to cover everything. But my biggest thing, and like since Rachel's accident, the first thing is I have to get her to smile. She's got to show me that she's happy and content. So that's my biggest thing I do when I walk into the nursing home is to get that smile. Now that
Yeah.
took me a year and a half, like when she was from the time she had her accident till the time she smiled was a year and a half. And I was standing on my head. I was doing everything to get this kid to laugh or to smile. And it took a year and a half to see it. So
Oh gosh.
victory. Yeah.
Wow, that's a huge victory. Oh my God, Carolyn, I'm
Yeah.
just thinking about that, how that must have felt for
Yeah.
you. And then months later, you're shut down with COVID and you can't
Oh,
see the
COVID. Oh boy.
smile. Yeah, I don't even
What
know
was
how you.
concerning about COVID is they um she was released to the nursing home. They had no idea who she was. And you got to remember, she's head injury. They're
Mm,
geriatrics. So I really don't feel that, they were equipped to handle her. And then
mhm.
we had to do window visits. So, I'd see things. I actually saw she had an infection in her head And I saw it from the window visit before the staff saw it. But you know what? Kudos
Mm.
to extended care. I told them what to do. I said I want her on antibiotics, I want a tropicantibiotic, and I want a CT scan. And they did everything. And so that's why I'm
Great.
staying on extended care, because they take me serious, you know. So
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. That's
yeah,
great.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So Carolyn, are you with now like your plans of really advocating for parents of kids with brain injuries? Are you looking for people to reach out to you who kind of fit that profile, or what are
Um,
sort of your next steps in um, getting that out there? And what can we do
I
here to help you with that?
oh wow, that's very nice of you.
Or and everybody
I want,
watching, I mean, mhm.
yeah, just that, you know, to reach out if you need support. I am here. I will walk you through it. It's I don't know, like when I reflect back on the night of the accident, I nobody could tell us what to do, what to expect. I didn't realize that the hospital, like working on the other side, you don't see a lot of sides. As a nurse, you don't see a lot of sides as a patient. So they
Mhm.
want you out of the hospital regardless if you're missing your skull or on a trach. They want you to move along, and they want to release you. So, you know, I fought the hospital for 2 years to keep her in the hospital, but it was, you know, it was me against an army, you know. So
Yeah.
they wanted to release her without a skull, without a, like with a trach. I was taking it a little bit personally, but if you realize that's their job, I think that's half the battle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
yeah, yeah, it's quite a rude awakening to realize that it's a business, and you know, they all have the 90 days and they want you out, you know.
Amazing.
So
Yeah. Wow.
yeah, yeah. I didn't see that
Oh,
side when I
Carolyn.
was a nurse. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, a lot of fighting, a lot of tears, a meeting once a week. Um, you know, we did go to rehab. Like, I just couldn't fight them anymore because they kept on saying they were going to release me. So we went to Holland View for children. I think we did
Mhm.
that a little bit premature, but I needed a break from fighting the hospital. It was me against an army. So, yeah.
Wow. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Oh, Carolyn, well, I think it's really incredible that you're looking to, help support parents who are going through this, and that you're once again, using all of your knowledge to empower other people and taking your experience and trying to ease some of that stress for others. That's
Oh
so
yeah.
generous and
I really wish I had somebody to say, look, Carolyn, this is a road it's gonna take, you know, but it was like it was a roller coaster through hell. I really don't know how
mm,
else to explain it. So I would like to be an advocate for, you know, not now. I still have some things to work on, but I'd like to give my number out to my brain surgeon and say, look, if anybody needs to navigate through this process of brain injury, on your girl,
mhm.
because it's like a rude awakening if you don't know what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. You're amazing, girl. I'm so
Thank you very
inspired by
much.
you. Yeah. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Carolyn. Thanks for everything. And yeah, you're just such a ray of sunshine, and you're proof that,
No,
something like this, we can, still be positive and yeah, the cold showers
I
I
have
love.
to be like, just
Yeah.
respect and respect for my daughter. I have to be positive. She can't see. She's so used to a mom that's positive and kind of clown like whenever she was depressed
Mhm.
before this, I was always singing to her, anything to get her out. So she deserves that mom that she
Mhm.
remembers. So, you know, when she looks at me.
Amazing. Oh gosh. Carolyn, you're
Yeah.
such a great mom. I love it.
Oh,
Thank you
thank you.
so
Thank you.
much. Thank you for all your time and for sharing such personal, pieces about your life, and it all ties in, and yeah,
It's
I'm just so
amazing how
happy.
it all ties in. If you can reflect
Mm,
back, I was a little bit upset when people said, you know, Carolyn, look what you went through when you were younger. Maybe that's why you're excelling at what you do now. And it really, you know, when somebody first said that to me, I'm like, no,
Mm.
no, you know, but
Yeah.
it is true. Yeah, yeah. I just was in
Yeah.
denial.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I could see that it would be hard
Yeah.
to hear something like that too, because yeah, but wow. Well, you are the angel today, my friend. Thank you so
Thank you.
much for
And I
being
just love
here.
your
I'm
energy,
ex
and I hope to see you
Yes.
in Mr. Edgar's again. You guys, like, I don't know your energy. You just like lifted me right up. I just like right up here after
Good.
seeing you guys. So I want to have
Oh,
a
that's
beer with both of you.
okay. We're doing it for sure. Oh yeah, and then we could mention
Absolutely.
too, Steve has a little something too that he did, right? I don't want to say it out loud.
Yes.
Yes. I don't know if you want to talk
Um,
about that here.
absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
the reason why I'm on this podcast is to show that I can go on television, because I've never, this is all totally new. I do little things on my Facebook to see what I look like on camera. This
Mhm.
is one stepping stone to prove that I can talk and to get the message across for Steve, who is releasing
Yes.
his album next year. Absolutely. So I want to get on CHCH to promote his album. So this is my little stepping
Yeah.
stone, sweetheart.
Yes, that's so great. And Steve wrote a special song for you guys, right? So that's what's going to be
Yeah.
on the album, which is so amazing because Carolyn, I just wanted to say like you were in Steve's grade in high school. I didn't
Oh, yeah.
really know you, but then I connected with you through Facebook. And then last week when I had Steve on, you were making these lovely comments and you mentioned the song, and I didn't even know anything about the song. I'm like, what the heck?
Oh,
And
my.
then
Yeah.
yeah, and then I reached out to you and you were available. Like I just love how it all came together, you know? And then I got to meet you yesterday, even though I'm sure we met 1,000 times at school, but you were like
We
1
probably
year
did.
ahead of
Like,
me. You
it's
were
funny who,
yeah. It's so
absolutely.
silly.
It's
Yeah.
funny high school. Yeah. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
people like, I knew you, I saw you in the hallways. I'm like, well, I don't remember you, but it's funny. It's funny. But
Yeah.
you guys are
And I knew
great. I love your energy.
oh, yeah. Well, we love you too, and
Sorry.
we had a great time yesterday. So thank you again. And yeah, I'm so excited for you and what the future holds. And I think this journey with Rachel, you know, the two of you are a force. That's for
Yeah,
sure. I could feel
we're
that
a dynamic
yesterday.
duo.
You
Yeah, yeah,
are. Yeah, you're amazing. Yeah. Thank you,
yeah.
Carolyn. I'm going to put you into our virtual back room and I'll be right there with you in a sec while I say
Okay,
goodbye to
thank you for
everybody.
having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much.
Thank
Thank you guys so much for tuning in today with Carolyn Maxwell-Baker. Wow, what a mom, what an advocate, what an incredible woman. Please spread the word about Carolyn because as she works towards, you know, being a support and an advocate for parents who are also struggling with kids that have brain injuries, we want to be able to make sure that Carolyn can help to support them. So send that info over, DM me anytime. If you want to get me your information, I'm happy to pass it along. Enjoy the rest of your day. Go check out our sponsor, Brenda Badome at brendabadome.com. Grab yourself some beautiful clothes and use the coupon code Get to Know Them for 22% off of your order. Please go also to glamjewels.com, my jewelry biz, and grab yourself a Three Little Wishes bracelet and help a family suffering from the financial burdens of cancer this Christmas. Thank you all so much for being here. I will see you again next week with another awesome guest, and keep on showing the world your sparkle. Have a great day.